This is Destiny 2 has lost its soul, according to Clyde here. And with a title that spicy, I just had to watch and see what we're talking about here.
What's going on, gamers? Clyde here, and we're going to be talking about some hot topics going on in Destiny 2 right now. We might as well call these videos like Cooking with Clyde or something, because we're getting ready to stir this up, you know? Medium rare. What I'm about to say might be well done. Just want to start off by saying the core value of Destiny 2, of what we knew in Final Shape, of signing on every week, seeing what the weekly raid was, seeing what the weekly dungeon was, doing your powerfuls, doing your pinnacles, kind of the loop we've done for a while. It doesn't feel the same anymore. Simply because, perfect example right now that many of you might not know, you just load up the new raid, right? And you are new and you're just trying to go in the raid and get powerfuls. Well, guess what? It's going to drop on power. It's not even going to drop you powerful. And the tiered loot is pretty bad. Now, this change on Tuesday will fix this because Bungie said that they're going to change the contest delta from -40 to -30. How are you supposed to go in LFG and do a triple feat raid just to get +1? I feel like LFGs are not going to be able to do 3 to 4 to 5 feet. Well, definitely not 5, but to go into LFG and do a 3 feet and do a 4 feet raid just to get tier 4 loot from the raid might be worth it for you and your friends. But for LFG and the community, it's probably not going to be there because you got less tokens, you got encounter challenges, you got additional combatants, you've got a 2-phase limit, and you have cutthroat. These aren't.
I strongly agree with this. If you're going to have the raid be as difficult as it is, and if you're going to lock the power drop behind these feats, which are really difficult, they should honestly be like +10 drops, especially if you're doing 3+ feats, +10 drops. Maybe you can't farm it infinitely throughout the week because that would level you up maybe way too fast. I'm not sure, but at least +10 drops one time would be sufficient for how difficult it is.
Bad. You could always do 2-phase. You could do additional powerful combatants, which is like Banes, and token limit. It's not so bad, but again, it's not worth the time to go in and do it. So now let's talk about something that we've seen in the TWID recently coming up on the Solstice event. They're removing the bonfire playlist. So the whole purpose of Solstice was to at least do something on the EAZ or do something, an activity that went with that event. So they're pretty much taking that out. So I don't know how Solstice is.
Now, to be fair, the EAZ has been overdone so many times now. It would be nice if they actually, like, you know, did their job, maybe created something new, but you know, the event is kind of a mini event within Destiny 2. I can see why they're trying to push more people into the portal. They definitely should have made something new for it, but at this stage in time, they didn't. And I definitely would not be excited doing the EAZ again. For how many years in a row have we been doing that now at this point in time?
Going to be is a vendor just going to pop up and be like, hey, go play the game and then come get the Solstice loot. Now the Solstice set, it has a really good armor perk on it. The core value of Solstice might have not been the funnest, you know, it might not have been, hey, I want to go do EAZ and just grind it out, but its core value of that mission is just not there anymore. Now let's talk about Arms Day. Arms Day, Ada comes in here, you come here, you pick it up, and then you're like, oh, there's engrams here. This is great. So you farm these telemetry, you pick up an engram, and then most people are probably taking their engrams to Raoul. Hopefully you're not doing that because it drops tier 1, but you're like, okay, well, what can I do with this engram? Now you come here and you have to double down. You got to spend more telemetry just to decode it. One of these 2 weapons, 2 normal and 2 shinies. So you're kind of just like, but I want the hand cannon, so I'm going to decode it here. As you see here, mine's a tier 3. Well, the only way to get tier 4 is a higher guardian rank. And it tells you right here on the menu, if you go to the section of where you can use your event tokens, right here it says an engram with a tier 3 weapon or an armor gear item. Now, again, to get tier 4, I think you need to be guardian rank 8, because I'm at 7 right now. Or no, you have to be a guardian rank 9. And again, tying loot behind guardian ranks, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit, but it just feels.
A lot of people are against that, and it's just a whole new system and a whole new play style that we haven't gotten used to yet. I'm not saying it's the best by any means. I certainly do not feel like basically play gating everything is what I'm calling it, because you have to play the game a ton to then level up to then get the best versions of those weapons. It feels very difficult at the start of the season. I think, I could be wrong, I think at the end of the season, it will feel less diminishing once we've all kind of leveled up higher. I'm not sure, you know, the system definitely has some flaws to it. It's definitely frustrating that, you know, you can't just get in the game and get those tier 5s as quickly as possible. But I think I just got so used to that, like, instant gratification in Destiny 2, where, like, I complete the corrupted GM, so I get the adept weapon, right? But now it's kind of like, you complete the corrupted GM. Oh, but you're not leveled up high enough, so you get the tier 2 weapon or the tier 3. And now you got to go level up first and then get back in and clear the corrupted GM in that instance, right? It's not that exact example. We're not clearing GMs anymore, but you get the idea from previous Destiny 2 experience to now.
Feels like Arms Day is just pointless. Cool, hand cannon, we appreciate it, but it's not an event. So now Trials of Osiris is back, and there's 2 new weapons that you can go grind, and guess what? There is no featured weapon. You can just keep playing and get unlimited drops of the weapons. They put it in the twid here, just want to show it here. Pretty much they're saying for the next 6 weeks, no weapon is featured, go in and farm. There's also a new Trials armor set, but when you click on Saint 14, if you are not a player that read the twid and you're just a returning player, this looks so empty. All this is old armor. There's nothing here that tells me that there's new loot to go chase. What happened? Why is this so dead? To let you know, Trials is definitely worth playing.
The UI is definitely deceptive. I clicked on focus to coding and I was so surprised. Everyone kept saying there's no new armor, there's no new weapons. Like, there is new armor, there is new weapons. I have no clue why it's not like in the decoding section, but like maybe grayed out to kind of showcase the new stuff. Like, who is cooking this Trials playlist right now? Like, that's actually crazy that they're not advertising the new weapons and armor. There should be, in the game with like a million pop-ups for everything in Eververse, we should have at least brought a pop-up saying that there's new weapons and armor in Trials.
Because if you are 400 power level like me, I'm going to grind to 400, then I'm actually going to go flawless, because I can go to the flawless lighthouse chest and get 5 tier 5 pieces. And I've heard from people playing Trials right now, even if they're not 400, because you have to be 200 to even play Trials, but I heard from people playing Trials that you're getting high tier drops even if you lose a game. So Trials is rewarding, right? You're kind of thinking like, man, I could just go in there and farm power levels. My friends played last night and they said they went up 20 power from like 300 to 320. But here's the kicker. You can only go to the lighthouse once now, per account, per week. So the replayability factor is taken out. I don't understand why. Why can't talented PvP players keep going to the lighthouse and keep getting loot? I question that. But anyways, like,
that has been a big topic of debate for a very long time now. And I think maybe Bungie's just experimenting with doing something new since we're in the Edge of Fate. They haven't said anything about it just yet. They haven't responded to it. But the idea behind it is that these career Trials players that go in there and do carries and constantly stay in the playlist, they basically muddy up the playlist because it's them and their super sweaty friend that are like ridiculously good, and they spend all their time in this playlist. And so they just carry people and live in this playlist, and they kind of own the team side of the playlist, which pushes everyone else out of it. It's just not necessarily the worst thing. I mean, there's still the solo playlist. You can always go in and play solos, and you shouldn't have to match too many teams along the way. And with the new Lighthouse card, it shouldn't be a big issue, because even if you do lose to some of these sweaty teams doing their carries, you can still make it to the Lighthouse, right? So it shouldn't necessarily be as big an issue considering all the changes that Bungie has made. But I think they're just experimenting and seeing how the Trials population looks and how it feels when the people that are, just literally living inside this playlist every weekend are not as incentivized, and maybe they choose to go and do some other stuff in the game.
Like I said, it doesn't feel like the core Trials playlist that was in the game before. Why are we stopping this one-time playing account? You might have noticed that
I feel like you should definitely be able to go to the Lighthouse multiple times, though. At least a couple, more than once, right? Because just getting to play the one Trials passage and then being kind of done with it feels really odd to me.
To do GMs last season. Well, guess what? This season, one time per account. Conquests are once per season. Will these reset in September for Ash and Iron? I don't know. Or will they just reset in December with Renegades? You have to do these to get up in Guardian ranks. And a lot of people that are 450 told me to save these for last. Don't do them until you're guaranteed tier 5 drops, because it can definitely help you with getting your power level up or getting a tier 5 drop. So again, that's just more rip away from Endgame. Let me recap of what I just talked about.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they did the whole GM thing. I imagine they'll bring it back. I mean, this is meant to be what GMs are now. It's reduced to this. And I think they're just trying to really incentivize and push everyone into the portal. I don't think they want to fully get rid of GMs or the activities. Obviously, that's not helpful for anything. It's just they're really trying to get everyone's attention on the portal and get used to this new system, because you can tell how radically different it is, right? It's really shook up the Destiny community. And so I think that's the reason why they're pushing everything to the portal.
In-game raids don't reward you. Grandmaster Nightfalls are no longer. They don't reward you. Trials doesn't reward you for going flawless. Do you see a pattern here? We're going to talk about this modifier right here. I don't know if you've done these yet, but yeah, this thing right here, take it, throw it in the trash. You can't even
Throw Avant-Garde in the trash, please. Yes.
use an exotic class item. You're forced to use new stuff. Now, are these conquests easy? Yeah, you just run them over. They're very easy to do. What's the point? You know, I don't understand that. And then when we're going into Fireteam ops, here's another thing that really gets me. If you go into Fireteam ops and you click on any of these missions and you click customize, it is no longer match made. Play your way, by the way. Right? And the reason they do this is I might be higher power level than other people that I'm searching for. So I understand that, but why is it called a Fireteam ops? So you're forced to do this. Okay. You're forced to just do the normal version, right? And for a normal version, we could just see here that it does have 400 enemies and it does have equipment locked and all this. But I've been told, I haven't done these a lot, but I've been told that if you just randomly match with people, they're not doing the objective and you might not get an A+ reward. So people are triggered and they're like, well, I don't want to play with random people. So I'm just going to go back to solo. But then you go to solo and, you know, can we take a minute here and just look at solo, Fireteam, and look at Pinnacle? It looks empty, right? It looks empty. We'll get back to that topic in a second. But anyways, you're probably doing K1 or Caldera. So when I come into customize and I'm adding modifiers on my Grandmaster, remember when we were doing Spider-Man through Encore and we were just having unlimited grapples? They took that out and I have not seen that
That was fun. Bring Grappler back, Bungie, now.
Fire sense. So they took some fun out. Also, stuff like match game. Back in the day, about, I don't know if it was a year ago or maybe more, there was some balding modifiers in the Strike playlist and the Nightfall playlist and in the GM playlist. And Bungie took them out and said, hey guys, we're going to take these modifiers out of the game because you don't like them. So they snuck them back in. So I didn't understand that either. So again, you're just like taking the core out. It goes back to the saying, we're not playing our way. And that's kind of something I just don't understand. And talking about this power level grind, most casual players are never going to hit 400. You're probably waiting to see what they're going to do in September and see if they're going to make it easier for you. Because if you got a full-time job and you got any responsibilities in life, you probably can't do this grind. You can't. Going from power level 400 to 450 is an average of 100 to 120 hours just from 400 to 450. So
Jeez.
I'm telling everybody, if you want to grind, hit 400 and then just play the game however you want, or just chill, because you're probably not going to enjoy that grind. Now, I know everyone's freaking out like, well, Clyde, I got to do all this grind and I got to focus on tier 5 loot. And then in December, they're going to take us back down to 200 power. I'm not 99.9999999% sure, but I can tell you right now with the feedback they're getting on this power leveling system, I do not think Bungie's going to stand on their ground and reset our power back to 200 in December. Here's why.
I think that he's correct in that assumption because the feedback has been immense. Everyone has been saying it's too much. The power grind's a little too crazy, and getting reset in 6 months is going to feel pretty awful. However, that might be 6 months from now, and maybe people have a difference of opinion. The Destiny community, you know, we could see what Bungie's cooking up in regards to sort of catch-up mechanics, like what we're looking for in September. You never know. We'll have to see what happens in 6 months.
People are not going to want to do the grind from 200 to 450 again in Renegade. People are not liking this. Are they going to go against the grain? Are they going to listen? I don't know, but I don't think they're going to keep the same system. They can't. Now, will they bump the power level up? Maybe. They don't like doing that because they don't want to see those numbers get up even more, but I don't see them keeping the same system because, again, we have to give this new system a chance. They're going to keep just improving it and making it better and better. They can't get it right the first time. They changed a lot of the game. In my opinion, you should just hold off on focusing on chasing that tier 5 loot until we see what they say. Slow play until September, see what you think, and then when September comes with Ash and Iron, make up your mind then. Now, I do want to point out, once you do hit 500 power in Ash of Iron, you will be guaranteed tier 5 drops nonstop. Lootapalooza. It's going to be pretty insane, so you'll be able to make your builds and stuff and get all the weapons you want. But again, is it worth the grind? That's totally up to you. So what I want to understand here, what if someone returns to the game, right? If you return to the game, and let's say you haven't played for 2 years, not only do you got to buy Final Shape, but you got to buy Year of Prophecy. Even if you don't want to buy Year of Prophecy, you could just buy Edge of Fate. But you should buy Final Shape because you want the exotic class items, you want Prismatic. But when you want to come just do an old dungeon like so, we're playing at -10. -10 in old content. I've heard people I've heard LFG doing runs of old content right now with this -10 delta, and they're not happy. It's not enjoyable. I do also want to point out, in every single dungeon of the game, you can't farm the exotics. It's only a one time per character per week. And then let's say if you're like, hey, I like Vault of Glass and I want to go do something else. Now they are changing this. I do want to point out next week this stuff is going away. They did put in the TWID that they are changing this stuff, so they're fixing it in 4 days. So I just, I want to point that out, that they did see this. But again, it's just another sneaky tactic that shouldn't have been put in the game, because you come here and you go, okay, I want to go do a standard Vault of Glass, but like, what do I get out of it? Do you get powerfuls? Like the way that the portal's structured, no matter what you play, you get rewarded for it. So why isn't the rest of the game like that? Like, why can't people say, hey, I like doing Vaults of Glass, I'm gonna go farm Atheon?
It's just because it's the first iteration, I think, and they weren't able to develop it further enough. So for the raids to also be thrown into the portal, it would actually take a lot more developmental effort if you think about it, because it would have to have either the feats added to it, so that way you could change the difficulty modifiers. And that's probably a hefty project to go back and revamp the raids, especially some of those raids that just recently came back in just the last few years already. On top of that, you would potentially need to add the updated armor, so that way people could actually get the appropriate armor. Like, it would feel terrible if you went into a Vault of Glass and got old loot, but it leveled you up, right? You'd be like, okay, so I'm just going to get a bunch of infusion fuel and waste my time there. And not to mention the weapons themselves would also be not a part of the new tiered system. So I think that maybe every few months or so, Bungie might update the old raids and bring it up to portal standards, right, with the new weapons, the new armor, and adding feats to the raids. And if they did so, that would actually be incredible, right? That would actually add a ton of replayability. If you got power drops from it, the end game of the portal looks like it will be a lot better than the immediate. This is obviously its first iteration, so it's going to take a lot of fixing and ironing out the kinks with this.
Maybe they can get +1s. You don't have to get +3s like the portal's giving you, but at least reward players for their time of what they're doing. I feel like every single mission, every single playlist, every single crucible thing, anything you do in the game, everything should reward you for your playtime, because you're playing the game how you want, not how Bungie wants. So that's what's kind of throwing me off. So we've went over core playlist activities, trials not being rewarding unless you do it once, raids not being rewarding unless you're running 4 feats, can't grind GMs. This is what we've been used to for 10+ years. You sign on, you got gold stars, you do all your powerfuls and pinnacles, and you're rewarded. Now we're here. What happened? Now I do want to point out that people say, well, Clyde, you're doing the same activities over and over. How is that fun? Let me introduce you to the spare rations farm. I did this for 95 hours in Reckoning. It took me 95 hours to get this weapon. You've probably farmed guns in the past, like a Mago Loop, Grasp of Malik, Fatebringer, whatever. Stuff like that's okay. I don't mind doing the solo Caldera and the solo K1. Getting 1 drop every 5 minutes or 4 minutes. The community's not going to have that. I feel like the replayability factor needs to be changed for sure, because like everyone's just like, well, I'm gonna go do Starcross, it has 2 completion rewards. But what if tomorrow's reset it only has 1 and this has 3? You need to put diversity in this portal. Maybe K1 might be 1 completion reward and so is Caldera because it's easy, but if you go do Skywatch, you get 2 completion rewards. It all comes down to how many drops you're getting per hour. So what are you grinding to get your power-ups to get those tiered drops? So that we need that replayability factor back implemented in the game, I think. One last thing I want to talk about, unstable cores. Can we talk about the economy on this? Now, again, there is an actual strat that you can do to save these. You can farm an activity that drops a full set of 1 armor set, so you can keep infusing that same one for Glimmer. But have you seen how expensive these get when you start infusing into 400 gear? Like 6,000-7,000 a pop. Yeah, we need to change that. I'm so surprised they haven't changed unstable cores yet, but again, I'm sure it's been addressed. Remember, Guardians, I'm just here to be the guy that speaks up on matters of this game, and people like watching these videos. So don't forget to drop a sub, a like, maybe a comment down below to show some support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, so that was Destiny 2 Has Lost Its Soul by Clyde, and a good video overall. I think he brought up basically all the current issues with the Edge of Fate, all the things that need improvement, all the things that Bungie maybe looked over, or if I'm being honest, the things that they probably couldn't get out in time, right? I feel like the portal was maybe a little bit rushed. I mean, there's so much to it. It's hard to say that it's completely a rushed project. They couldn't fit the entirety of Destiny 2 into it immediately, but they got a good core amount of it out, so that way people could kind of understand the direction they're trying to take the game. I think they missed the mark in a few ways in regards to the power grind, especially above 400. I mean, that's just kind of insanity right now. I also agree with Clyde. I do not recommend trying to grind your power to 450 right now. Just go to 400, and you don't need to rush to get there either. Just take your time, eventually get to 400 if you even want to. You don't have to, but it's there for you. If you want to play some PvP, you'll level up. If you want to play PvE, you'll level up. If you want to play solo or play with a fire team of friends, you'll level up in the portal. Along the way, you'll also get the new armor that has really good stats. As you get higher tiered armor, you'll get the armor that has the armor set bonuses that are, some of them are really powerful. And then you'll get some of the new weapons as well, like Mint Retrograde. This pulse rifle is absolutely busted. And so you'll probably want a god roll of that. Even if it is a tier 1 god roll, it's still definitely worth using until eventually you get your tier 2 or tier 3 or higher god roll of Mint Retrograde for that example. So I'm noticing a common pattern with some content creators, not all of them, but they're kind of like really upset about this current state of Destiny 2. But their criticism of Destiny 2 is always a little bit different from what really they're saying and what they seem to think that they're saying. And I want to actually bring this up because I think this is an interesting point where a lot of people are talking about the problems with the portal and how Bungie needs to kind of tweak some things and shift some things in order to make it better, right? So they're saying that the basically what they're saying without even saying it is the portal is a good system that just needs some adjustments. It needs an adjustment here, an adjustment there. It needs this added, it needs that removed, et cetera, et cetera. It needs the power grind lowered. They're talking about adjusting the current system. They're not talking about overthrowing the whole system, right? There's very few people out there that are advocating for take the entirety of the portal and throw it in the trash, right? Most people can see the hard work and the ingenuity involved in creating the system and how it is actually taking Destiny 2 forward. And there's a lot of positives to it. It's just this is the first iteration. We're beta testing it right now, and it needs a lot of work. And hopefully Bungie is, hard at work right now, grinding, getting more exotic missions in here, getting those dungeons ready to launch inside the portal, and hopefully in the future raids, because once all of the game is inside the portal and we have all of that customizability and incentivizing people to play a variety of activities, I think the system will be good overall. And I think for the health of Destiny 2 in the long run, the portal was a good decision from Bungie. And I say this even though I know some people watching out there, they're going to give me backlash for that because, at this stage in time, it's like you say anything nice at all, everyone's just like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy, right? Well, I don't even care about the backlash. My honest opinion is that the portal is in its core a good system because Destiny 2 is a game that is created for hobbyists. Whether you like it or not, that is what this game is created for. It is a game that you're meant to log into and play every day, every other day, or at least multiple hours throughout any given week. That is the design of this game. It is a hobbyist game, a game that you're meant to sink a lot of time into. So, if that is Destiny 2's primary objective and its primary audience, then it must have a core system that allows you to sink your time into it. Whether you choose to sink your time into it or not is up to you. If you're like, dude, that's not worth it for me, forget tier 5s. I'm not interested. That's fine. You'll be fine with a tier 2 Mint Retrograde. You will be fine. You're not going to be so weak and pathetic. You'll never be able to clear any activity ever again, right? You'll be fine with a tier 2 Mint Retrograde God Roll, okay? But if you want to sink your time into it, it's there for you, right? The hobbyists can rejoice. They can sink their time and just, use Destiny 2 as the conduit for escapism that it's meant to be, right? Destiny 2 is meant to be a game that allows you to escape into another world and grind things and get your weapons higher power, get more powerful weapons in general, and get your armor up as well. You're meant to gear up. I mean, the whole idea of the game is built on the premise of the value of your loot. That's why we have a vault that has hundreds of spaces. You're meant to go out and play the game for a large amount of hours of time and collect items of varying different degrees of power and desirability and take them back and store them in your vault. And in my opinion, the portal accomplishes this goal. It just needs some serious reworks. I mean, it went out in in not the most developed way possible, but hopefully with time, we'll look back on the portal and they'll have everything in there and it'll be good. But let me know what you think about Clyde's criticisms about Destiny 2 down in the comment section below, and my opinions as well. You're more than welcome to have a difference of opinion from myself or Clyde. In fact, I encourage it. I love reading my own YouTube comment section and it not being like an echo chamber of everyone just agreeing with me and saying, wow, Luckyy, you're so smart. We all agree with you. Like, I like when there's a difference of opinion. I read those comments, I read people's criticisms, and I try to adjust and learn and decipher what the Destiny 2 community really wants and what they desire. And it's a lot of fun getting to have these conversations and watch these videos with you. So I appreciate you being subscribed to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.